right, welcome to another episode of Kidstown Corner. Today we're going to talk about sedation, something that as pediatric dentists we do a lot of and is an absolutely huge piece of our practice.
There's basically 4 levels of sedation. The first is what we call minimal sedation, and it's essentially laughing gas. The laughing gas, it's not a real strong form of sedation. It's very minimal. It helps to relieve anxiety a little bit. It also kind of helps with the gag reflex. Some kids, if you get in their mouth and you start working on some of those back teeth, it can trigger a gag reflex. So it helps with that. And it also helps them maybe lay there and hold still a little bit longer than maybe they would otherwise. But the laughing gas, again, it's not going to take an uncooperative child and make them cooperative. It's basically going to take a cooperative child who's maybe just a little bit nervous, and it's just going to kind of help take the edge off a little bit and help them lay there a little bit longer and get the work done. So it does help. We use it all the time. We love it. But it definitely has its limits.
Yeah, absolutely. I call it the warm, fuzzy blanket. It's just a little extra comfort that helps you get through a dental appointment for the right kiddo. The next level of sedation is typically one that we use for kids that have some mild to moderate anxiety, not severe anxiety, but mild to moderate anxiety, and have a moderate amount of work to do. So let's say a typical case would be a 4 or 5 year old that has up to 6 teeth to fix. Typically that's a case where we're looking at moderate sedation, and the way we do moderate sedation at Kidstown Pediatric Dentistry is with an oral sedation. And across the board with pediatric dentists across the country, even the world, moderate sedation usually means an oral sedation. It's a liquid medicine. Rarely are we using pills unless it's teenagers with something that, like Valium that people are really familiar with. Our oral sedation is a different cocktail that essentially they drink the medicine and they hang out. We've got a little sedation room where they've got the comfy bean bags and a movie to watch, and they hang out for about 45 minutes to an hour. At that point, we get them back and we get the teeth fixed. We have a pretty solid success rate here of 70, 80%. The kids do well. Every once in a while they drink that, and an hour later you're looking at them and you're pretty sure they drank the water and not the sedation medication, but they look at you and it doesn't touch some kids. So there is still a level of cooperation that's required for conscious sedation. The kids still have to kind of flip the switch and decide that they're going to let it work for them. Is that
right? Where they're conscious, they have a decision to make.
Yeah.
Am I going to cooperate or am I not going to cooperate? Yeah. If they've got it made up in their minds that they're not going to cooperate, the appointment's probably not going to be successful. But the idea with the conscious sedation is just to try to get them in that mindset where they go from maybe nervous, scared, maybe not sure if they're going to want to cooperate and go through with it, and kind of get them over to that mindset where they're like, oh, okay, I can do this, I'm going to relax and let the dentist do what he has to do. Yeah. So there is a lot of, like he said, there's a lot of cooperation required on the child's part. They've got to cooperate from the beginning of the appointment to drink it. Sometimes we have patients come in and we can't even get them to drink the medicine in the first place. So they've got to cooperate to drink it, and then once we get started, about an hour later, they've got to cooperate and decide that they're going to relax and let us do what we need to do.
Absolutely.
So for those children who aren't going to cooperate with the conscious sedation, rather they won't drink it, or like Dr. Brett said, those kids where the sedation works really well, they're a little bit older, 4, 5, 6 years old. So if we get a 2-year-old, 3-year-old child in here who's really too young to be able to cooperate, they're too young to reason through and understand that we're trying to help them and understand why this is important, and we might have several teeth to do. In those cases, it's best to move on to what we call a deep sedation. And for the deep sedations here at Kidstown Pediatric Dentistry, we bring in a nurse anesthetist to do those appointments with us.
Yeah, and it's a great service because it's very predictable. That the work's going to get done. there's really no level of cooperation needed. We have the range from a little 20-pound 18-month-old all the way to a severely autistic, non-cooperative, violent 38-year-old that we can treat with this sedation equally. And so we get a predictable result, we get predictable recoveries, which is huge. Where typically for, the majority of our patients, 3-4 hours later after the work's done, the same little Timmy or Susie running around doing their thing. So the bounce back is nice, very low incidence of nausea or vomiting, and really low incidence of pain afterwards. So it's a great way to go to be able to get the work done. Your child is sleeping, they're comfortable, everything's done typically in about an hour, and then we're there.
Right, and that's the best way to deliver that experience that a lot of parents want, where when we talk to parents about what their expectations are for the appointments, a lot of parents mention that, like, I really don't want him to have any memory of this. I don't want to traumatize him about coming to the dentist. I want him to be at peace. I want him to be relaxed and comfortable and just have a really good experience. And the deep sedation is able to deliver that experience for us. There's very little memory of anything that goes on at that appointment from the very initial part of the appointment. Unfortunately, we do have some patients where for health reasons, sedating them here in the office may not be an option. They may have an underlying medical condition that would make it, so that we're not comfortable from a safety standpoint sedating them here in the office. And so for those patients, we're able to take them to the operating room and complete the treatment under general anesthesia, typically at Primary Children's Hospital.
Yeah, and that's the number one thing for pediatric dentists across the world is safety first. So finding the right, first of all, getting a nice thorough health history from mom and dad, doing an overall assessment, making sure the child is going to be safe with the type of sedation you're choosing, and if push comes to shove, you're moving on to general anesthesia at a local children's hospital, and that way we've got providers that are comfortable with the anesthesia. A lot of times, this is a kiddo that's had general anesthesia in that children's hospital previously, has a prior record, so they can look at that and be ready for them. The nurses afterward are equipped and ready to work with children with special needs or children with healthcare issues, that you just get more predictability, and it just increases the safety, which is the number one priority. When it comes to sedation, we dot all of our I's, cross all of our T's to make sure that, one, first and foremost, the child is safe. Number two, the child has a great experience, and that's a close second. And then another close third is quality of work.
Yeah, we want to be able to do the best possible job for you, and the more cooperative the child is, if we can get them to hold still and to relax, we're able to do a better job. If we're in there and the child's moving around and making it difficult for us, we're not going to be able to do as good a job as we'd like. And so, these are all important things that to talk about and to consider, and come up with the best plan for you and for your child to get the work done.
We hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Kids Down Corner. Hopefully it's been informative for you and you learned a lot. If so, share it with friends, share it on Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, please put them down in the comment section. We will get back to you and answer those questions for sure. Thanks for joining us.